Hello.
Hello. One second. YouTube is a little bit slower.
Okay. No
And
problem.
normally it starts, so I'm very sure it's already starting the live.
Okay. I got
But
some people joining on my one Instagram.
Amazing.
Yeah.
mm,
Oh,
yes. Okay. We are live. Hello, WE-Solation. Here
hello.
we are again. This is the September episode. And we have Angela Argentina with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are very excited, me personally, for the kimchi.
Yes.
But before we start, we would like to acknowledge the sacred land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit, and many other nations who care for the land and its wellness. The territory is subject of the dish with one spoon, one pound belt covenant, an agreement between allied nations to peacefully share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. And we are grateful to be here and work on this territory. Amazing. Well, we are here today with Angela Argentina, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself and her amazing work.
Okay, thank you. And hello, everybody. So my name is Angela Argentina, and I'm the founder of Kindred Kitchens. And I do a lot of stuff with vegan whole foods. I focus a lot on sustainability. So thank you for having me here today. It's super aligned with everything that I've been working on. And you asked me what the meaning behind Kindred Kitchens actually was. So
Yes.
kindred spirits are people that are on the same mission, or they have the same goal. So basically it's Kindred Kitchens because it's plural, because I'm trying to unite people through food and use food as a catalyst to create social change, like positive impact. And that's in your health, that's on the environment, it's on the economy, and so many things. And I do a lot of stuff, like I teach people, I do workshops like this. As well, I'm doing something called the Restaurant Evolution. And then I'm also the vegan chef for CRISPR, which is a zero waste meal kit service that's starting soon. And also, just to elaborate a little bit on Kindred. So Kindred is kind and red. That's how it's spelled. So kind is like the compassion and the caring and everything that we need to do to connect with source and nature. And red is the color of the root chakra, which is our intrinsic connection to source energy, the divine mother, our basic needs. And a lot more than that, but that's kind of it in a little nutshell. So it means a lot to me, like that's why I chose the name. And so Kindred Kitchens is like me collaborating with you guys in your kitchen, restaurants, everybody, and using food as a catalyst for change. Ta-da! So today we're going to be making kimchi for our WE-Solation lunch. And the ingredients, like I say, I prefer people learn to make the food than follow the recipe per se. So if you don't have all the ingredients, I'm going to give you options so that you can do whatever you have. So you don't need to have Napa cabbage. Napa cabbage is the traditional cabbage. And I will show you what it looks like. So I took two leaves off. I had a really big one. Like it was huge. It was like this big. Okay, so this is how big a leaf is. Like it's humongous.
Oh my gosh. And that's the beauty of cabbage, right? It's
Yeah,
always
so good.
very, like
And I didn't mention all the
abundant.
cabbage because
Yes.
we're actually filming, but this is a very sustainable lunch or snack or whatever you want to eat it as. Right now I'm detoxing, so it's a really big portion of my diet. But it's really good because it's sustainable, because it's fermented. So you can preserve it and it will keep forever. So you don't have to worry about it going bad as long as you preserve it properly, but it does just kind of preserve on its own. It's probiotic. It's also super nutrient dense. Cabbage alone has like so much vitamin K, vitamin A,
Angela,
C.
a big question.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us what are probiotics, for
Oh,
instance?
probiotics. Okay, so we have gut flora in our microbiome. Our microbiome is where the gut flora is. And so you have bad bacteria and good bacteria. And a lot of the time, Well, actually, our health really comes from the gut. So people are starting to realize now that there's 3 different brains. There's the heart brain, the head brain, and then the gut brain. And the gut brain actually has supposedly more like DNA than our actual whole body has it. And so if you're feeding the bad bacteria, you're going to be having more inflammation and a lot of other health problems that start in the gut, but it also makes you crave unhealthier foods. So sometimes, if you're trying to do something and you like don't have that motivation, it's not you, it's like actually like a physiological craving. So it's really important that you whether or not you are eating stuff that creates and feeds the bad bacteria, that at least you're balancing it out with some probiotics. So
Okay.
And just another thing, since we're talking about sustainability, like I'm vegan, not everybody has to be vegan to be eating kimchi or whatever, but eating more plant-based is what I try and do, is inspire people to at least be more plant-based, because it's necessary, because it is the most sustainable lifestyle choice, eating plants rather than animal agriculture, and just supporting that whole thing. And there's a whole other health issues and stuff, but back to the microbiome and that, the good gut flora thrives off of vegan food. So like whole food vegan food, not your processed like Beyond Beef burgers. You know what I mean? That's still bad. Like it's all but
that's amazing, because I can recall during the weeks, like whenever we are a little bit lazy to cook and we just have a takeout, the next day we will want to have more takeouts.
Exactly. And what, right now I'm detoxing and stuff. And it's funny because I'm trying to shred. Look at my muscles. Yeah. So I'm trying to shred, but I'm actually doing kind of like what you wouldn't do on a normal protocol, which is like, measuring all your foods, counting the macros, the proteins and stuff. I'm actually just doing like very low calorie, but very nutrient dense stuff. So I'm filling up on this and getting my body more detoxified and clean. And it's funny because I'm actually not that hungry, even though I'm like almost fasting. And it's because I'm eating stuff like this. So this is what I'm just going to grab.
That's very interesting.
What are you holding right now, Angela? What is that?
This is the kimchi. So this is the actual recipe that I made. Like I make different recipes all the time. So like the recipe you have isn't the only kimchi recipe out there. Sometimes with maple syrup in it, but I'll just give you guys a little look. There's some carrots hanging in there.
Oh my gosh, I love kimchi.
Really good.
Yes.
And this one I actually ran out of the, I don't know, it's called gochujang or whatever, the spice. But normally I make it a lot like redder and more spicy. And I gave an alternative for that gochujang spice. I ran out last time. That's why I didn't use very much. But this is different than the one that I had last time. So the one that I had last time, sorry guys, this isn't, it's got this plastic here, so it's not zero waste, but forgive me. I had to buy
Don't worry, we are a non-judgmental.
We're transitioning to zero waste sometimes. But anyways, that is the paste. So I haven't actually used a paste before. So this should be interesting. It doesn't smell super spicy. And I did say in the notes that you can use cayenne pepper and paprika. Don't use the same amount of cayenne pepper as I would use in this, because you'll blow your head off. You have to find it to your gusto. So like take more smoked paprika and add in a little pepper, just so that you can eat your kimchi without blowing your head off.
Very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
I also mentioned miso. This is something that I put in mine. It also adds to the fermentation. But it's totally skippable if you don't have it. Not everybody has miso. If you are getting miso, make sure you get either non-GMO or organic, because because it is soy, and soy is one of the most genetically modified ingredients. Hello, ladies. Wow. I remember you from that sustainable lunch. Okay, all met there, didn't we? Okay, so I'm just going to show you the difference here. I mentioned dark. So this is the red dark miso. Okay, you can see it's a much darker color than its counterpart, the white miso. And they both kind of taste similar, but this one is better for like cheeses. It has more of a cheesy, fishy flavor, I guess that's what I would flavor it for. And this one, if I'm aiming for more like beefy stuff, I use this one. But for whatever reason, I use the darker one in this one, I think because it's got like a richer flavor. So I'm just going to go with that. But you can use either or completely omit it. Another little thing. So I said applesauce. I'm making this one sugar-free. Some people add sugar to theirs, but I like to keep things extra healthy. And since we're doing gut, you can use an apple.
Big question for that. Oh, that's very good, because I didn't have applesauce. Yeah. And I look on the internet and I check that I could use olive oil. What's best?
No, I wouldn't use olive oil. You can you want to use apple, like I'm using the apple more as like a sweetening agent and as a flavor. So if you have an apple, you can just use an apple because we're going to blend it together.
Oh, that's very good.
Just you can just skip it already. And I said a nug because I did one of those, like, you know, I've never done it before where you just talk into the thing. So I was telling the ingredients and I said a nug, and that's something I would say, but a nug would actually be more like an inch of ginger. So just to clarify the confusion of that, I already chopped it up. We have carrots here. I'm not going to peel them because these ones are organic, and that is where most of the nutrients come from, is the skin. I have my garlic here. I have some cucumber. This is wakame. So you can see it's just these little flakes. It is seaweed, and this is what we're going to use to replace the fish sauce, because they usually use like a shrimp paste in the kimchi. Okay, so that being said, I think we are pretty much ready to go over some of this. What we're going to start with is we're going to make the paste. So I have here, can you guys, I'll just get this out, a little food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can use a blender and just pulse, okay? So this is my little food processor. I'm going to take it out. I am going to toss in my ginger nuts. Okay, so I already chopped one up. You don't really need to chop it up. If your ginger is organic, you can always leave the skin on. I actually normally do, but for this I take it off because we're eating it and I find it's very like tough. So I'm gonna toss that in there. Over here, I have my stove, and I'm just gonna pour 1 cup of the freshest spring water in Ontario. We get this from a well in Elmsville. Like, we go with all those jugs and we literally fill it up, and it is, it's so good tasting. Amazing. So I'm just gonna boil that. And then I mentioned rice flour. You can use glutinous rice flour. You can use tapioca. You can use pretty much cornstarch or anything you want, something that is kind of, has that soft, soft texture that's going to make it really thick and I don't even know, kind of creamy. So we're going to put that in the water. It's going to turn nice and thick, and then we're going to toss it in to the food processor with all the other ingredients. So I'm going to just break up my garlic. I didn't want to do all of it before you guys got here, so that I'm just tossing it in. So another little trick. Let me just make sure you guys can see what I'm doing.
What's the trick? Tell us.
So if you guys want to not, you know how it's like so annoying, you're like taking your garlic and then you're peeling it and it's just like, yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have a trick.
I know, we all hate it.
The best hack ever. So you're going to take your garlic, you're going to put it on the side, take the side of your knife, press it down and hit it. And then watch the magic. It just peels right off. So that's it. Like,
love it.
Saving kitchen hack, right? I know. I can give you one for onions too. So I'm just going to take, these are smaller ones. So I'm going to use maybe 7. Like I say, like, there is no rule when you're making food with Angela. You just follow your little heart and your eyeballs and your stomach. And listen to your gut, but just detox it first. Okay. All right. So we have 5 in there. I'm going to do this one.
And you mentioned that everything depends on the size of the garlics we are taking, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you like garlic, like I love garlic, so I'm always prone to using more. Garlic and ginger are also microbials, and they're really good for just boosting your immunity. So that's another reason why this is such a good dish to have, just even like a little spoonful every day. It's just, wow. Yeah, it's really, really good. Garlic has so much nutrients in it that you could pretty much just eat garlic, and it's got like a wide spectrum. So like, I eat garlic every day and I'm like, I'm never worried about getting sick. So
Angela, does it make a difference if the garlic is cooked versus fresh? Is one better?
Yeah, raw is always better. And I have a trick because, you know, people are like, ew, who wants to eat raw garlic? Like, it's gross, right? I love garlic, but I hate raw garlic. But you know what you can do when you're eating raw garlic is chop it up and do this and make like a bunch, and it'll save you time for cooking too. Take a bunch of garlic, put it in a food processor, put some olive oil in it, and then put it in a little jar, little sustainable jar. And then you can just scoop from it and you have fresh garlic. Or if you feel like you're getting sick, put it on a piece of bread and eat it. And you're getting raw garlic, but it doesn't taste like garlic. It's like garlic butter, but garlic butter.
I
Yeah.
love
You know,
it. Great
in
suggestion.
Mexico, Mexico we eat garlic when you have a cold.
Yes.
The big recipe will be to eat one piece of garlic and swallow it. Like, well, oh my gosh! Like
That's funny.
my family used to place like some honey on it, and really, you won't believe it, but next day you are like a new person without any cold. Yeah.
When I was coming back from Mexico the last time visiting my family, I felt like I was getting sick. And so I literally took 3 cloves of garlic and swallowed them whole.
Yes.
And I just complained and I was burping all this garlic, but I didn't get sick. So it works. Okay, so I'm just going to put my wakame in there. This is another ingredient you can make your kimchi without. I just like it. I'm going to add now my applesauce. And
Right, Angela, I have a quick question. The wakame, is that the only substitute that you had to make in order to make this a vegan kimchi?
no, you don't even need the wakame.
Oh, you don't even need it. Okay.
Kimchi, just leave out the fish. It's just the wakame is more for that flavor to make it more of like an authentic flavor, because the wakame has a little like hint of the sea because it's seaweed. That's where it kind of gets the fishy flavor. So whenever I'm trying to do something like vegan sushi or whatever, I usually mix in some sort of sea vegetable.
Okay, great.
And it's also really nutritious. So
Bonus.
say that if they feed cows seaweed,
Oh.
it really solve a lot of the problem with the methane gas. So let's all just eat more seaweed.
And what are the benefits of eating seaweed?
Well,
you know?
it's just really rich in like iron. I think it's got like chlorophyll and stuff in it, like stuff that we don't normally have in our land vegetables. But I'm sure it's got a lot of nutrition. The only thing is too, I don't know how they can really determine if it's organic or not, but be mindful that the ocean is super polluted. You want to try and get organic whenever possible. After that being said, I have little sustainable crackers using seaweed that I can show you guys afterwards we get this done. Okay, so I have my applesauce in there, my onions, my ginger, my garlic. This is the miso. I just took it out. I'm just gonna throw it in there. And then over here, where is my flour or my cornstarch? So this is my water. It's boiling. I'm just gonna toss in my cornstarch, which normally I would sieve just to make sure there's no bubbles, but I didn't, and it's fine. So I'm just going to stir that up. See how it kind of gets lumpy? So you just want to push it into the side like that.
I'm sorry, Angela, I was a little bit lost. What are you putting into?
Okay, it's the rice flour.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is it makes a congealed liquid, and this is just making the kimchi paste.
Okay.
And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. I didn't mention it. It doesn't mention it on the actual sign. But when you are cutting your kimchi and cutting it into little bite-sized pieces, it's best to put about a quarter cup of salt on it and just let it soak. And that gets out if there's like any insects or something that you can't see. It's also one of the best ways to clean it. However, if you're not getting organic, I always think you should get organic, but sometimes you just can't find the stuff. The best way to clean it is using baking soda. Is it baking powder and vinegar? You know, when it like makes that science experiment, and then it just gets all this extra dirt off because it's like an explosion. So it's kind of fun. It's a fun way to like clean your vegetables and stuff like that if you don't have organic. Okay, so I'm gonna pour this in. It wasn't mixed as best as it can, but that's okay because it's in the food processor, so it'll pretty much mix itself. And I have some cucumber cut up here. I have celery too, which you can always add in. You can add in like any vegetables. Don't be partial to what I had on hand at the time when I made the recipe. Let me just find my lid for this. Where is it? Here we go. Okay, and so if you don't have a food processor, you can just use a blender. That's totally fine. So I'm just gonna plug this in
Okay. I'm gonna now. Ah, wow. It reduced the noise. Oh my gosh, I really wanted to try to make kimchi like really like since 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's always
I'm just
very
gonna try
scary
this,
to.
sorry, just so you guys know what I'm doing, just because I want to make sure it's not too hot. It's good. Yum. Oh my God, I totally recommend this brand. It's so delicious. Okay, sorry about that. I just want you guys to think I was licking and putting the thing in. Okay, so since this is so delicious, I'm actually going to use more than I used in the last one because the last one was a powder and it was just spicy. I'm going to use half a cup of this paste. Another thing, so like I said, you can use the paprika and the cayenne pepper. Another thing you can always do is mix in some tomato paste or some ketchup. If you use ketchup though, ketchup is very sugary. I usually make my own. Just don't add anything for sweetness because you'll have a lot of sweetness, but it will take away from the probiotic quality, I think, because you're adding in sugar. So I'm just going to add this into my mix. This is so exciting. We're almost there. And the kimchi also, like I said, it's going to be ready to eat when we make it, but it's better when you let it sit out for a few days. And when you do that, you just want to cover it up. I'll show you guys, but the fermentation happens afterwards. So I like to leave my kimchi for like, I don't know, at least 3 days before I really start to like mow down on it. I got muted. Okay, so this is this little slicer is really good because it cuts these little julienne strips.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah, you can just see, like, if you don't have, I have a mandolin, but then it's like I have to take it out and I have to wash it. So this is just actually a lot easier and a lot more efficient to really shred stuff quickly. Because when you use the grater, you get those really tiny pieces, and I don't know, they're not as fun when you're eating kimchi. It's like those long, beautiful strands. So you can get these. I got this from the dollar store with like a bunch of other ones. It's the best thing I've ever bought almost from there. So yeah, it doesn't have to be super expensive, but it just shreds really quickly all that beautiful carrot.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had some cucumber as well, which I'm going to add. You can, like I said, you can add radish. You can add pear. Like, I encourage you to get creative. Like, when you're adding these fruits, it actually adds this whole other element and like dimension to the flavor because it's sweet, right? So it adds its own flavor to it, and then you don't need to use anything. Sometimes I add in maple syrup if I don't find like it's sweet enough, but if you're adding fruit, it should. So this is our beautiful paste.
Oh,
Looks delicious.
Yeah, it smells really good. I love it.
Oh, I bet with all the garlic and ginger, it smells amazing.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so I'm just going to get this thing. This is another bowl. This is like, it just goes to show, this is how much kimchi you make. Like, it's like out of control. So I'm just going to.
Kimchi for a year.
Yeah, no, it doesn't last that long, trust me. I wish. But if people are into fermenting, another really fun recipe, sorry, I'm just draining the water, so I'm not in the camera right now. Another really fun recipe is doing kombucha. So my friend makes really nice kombucha, like all these different flavors. Like, and I'm like the weirdest vegan that exists because I don't really eat fruit, but if it's been treated or done something and it's not in pure raw form, I'll eat it. So I'm doing all these like exotic kombuchas, and I'm so blessed.
Oh,
My friend.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I have a big question. What's the difference between fermentation and pickling?
And pickling?
pickling, like pickled food or fermented food?
So they're both kind of they're both preserve, but pickling is when you're adding the stuff to preserve the food. So it's usually like salt, vinegar, sugar. Whereas when you're fermenting something, it's fermenting in its own natural stuff. Like, I mean, this actually is in a weird way kind of pickling. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's more like this is way healthier for you because you are creating the probiotics. I don't know if pickles actually are probiotic. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I know like sauerkraut, for example, is fermented and it is probiotic as well, which is just not as fun as kimchi. So I didn't do that one today. But it can be. But yeah, pickles and stuff like the preserving, like a lot of preserves that I know, like have a lot of added sugar in them and stuff like that. So, and when you buy stuff, you never know, like sometimes there's like pectin in it or all these other like weird ingredients. So when you're doing it yourself, it's just better because you know.
Yes, it is true.
So moving on, this is what happens when you soak the kimchi in salt. It just breaks up the layers a little bit. So it's almost like.
And for how long do we need to let it soak in salt?
You can let it soak for like an hour. You can do it overnight, really. It's just to get the kimchi really soft and like to clean it. And
so it's just salty water that you used?
Yeah, just salt water. Because the kimchi, it's like sometimes like cabbage and stuff like that, like it's not as bioavailable because it has all of these little veins and stuff like that. And it's just like when you're massaging kale too, it makes it more easy to digest and stuff. And so when you do that with the salt, it just kind of does that naturally. And I just think it makes it soak everything up a lot better. So moving on, I got my cucumber. I'm gonna have to do this in 2 dishes. So this is half a cucumber. This whole bowl is gonna get half a cucumber. I'm gonna toss in my carrots to this one as well, but I don't want the other bowl to get jealous, so I'm gonna do some for that one. Okay, and that's how this is looking so far. It's actually super easy. I hope you guys are following along. And I'm just gonna peel this one just to give you guys the quick little demo of how quick this is. Just like that. Carrots are flying everywhere. It's fun. My other sign says a sign of a successful meal is a messy kitchen. So that's like my motto and I'm standing by it.
I love it. And I am very successful in my kitchen.
Me too. Yes.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. Okay, so I'm gonna just dump this in and it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna eventually mix these all together. Like right now it's poofy and stuff, but when I'm doing the actual ferment and like letting it sit out, where's my spatula? The spatula is also your best friend in anything raw because you can save so much extra food from going to waste. So, and you don't scratch your plates. So there we go. There's that one. I'm going to chop up a cucumber for you guys to see. This one is organic. So I'm going to leave the skin on. You guys see that? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to chop.
No, we can't really see. Like if you place the camera, perfect.
There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to rinse my hands because I got carrots all over them. Okay. So to slice this cucumber, I'm just going to cut it in half first. And then really to protect your fingernails. Hey, everybody, I'm just making kimchi for those who just joined on. To protect your fingers, what you want to do is you want to grab down into it so that if I'm ever cutting, my fingers aren't going to slip underneath. Okay, that's just an important thing. Whenever you're cutting, tuck your fingers down and then you can cut like that and not worry about cutting your fingers. I've done it plenty of times, so. Okay, so we're gonna toss this in there. I'm actually gonna do the other half just because I like cucumber and stuff in there. Another thing you can add in is spinach, bok choy, like anything that really is like sitting in your kitchen. And before it goes bad, just try adding it into this and then you can save yourself a lot of waste. So the reason I'm such a good cook is just I don't like throwing stuff in the garbage. And then also to touch this up, I mentioned 2 green onions. So these are really big onions, but this one's kind of like a half onion. So I'm going to do 3. And same thing. You can make them big, you can make them small. I usually do really tiny rings, but because I want these to be visible, you know, when you get the kimchi and you get those nice like dark green pieces, that's the green onion. So we're going to be adding that in here. And I'll give a little love to that one. Give a lot of love to that one because it's so big. And some more carrots.
And did you just use the green part or did you use some of the white as well?
Oh, I go right to the end.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I don't like to waste food. It's actually good. You know, in a lot of my food demos, I actually tell people like, when you're cutting the broccoli, don't cut off the stems because the part inside the stem is actually so delicious.
I love it.
Yeah, and everybody throws it away. And it's funny because I do cooking things with people sometimes, and I realize that people don't really know how to do food, you know, like work with food. Like they would leave this entire thing and it's like, no, like you can cut that off and chop it up. I'm just leaving it now because I don't want to waste time with that when we have other stuff we could be doing. But I don't waste food. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this all messy. You can use gloves. I'll go over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Mixing the kimchi. So, and because this one isn't hot and I actually like it a little spicier, I could potentially add in some spice. I could add in some sriracha. I could add in some cayenne pepper, or I could just add in some more ginger. So ginger is actually like, it has its own pungency and heat. So here we go, guys. Let's get messy. All right, so I'm just gonna grab it. I like the way it feels. Like so nice. It's like this weird satisfaction of like squishy mush. So I'm gonna mix it all up. It actually, I love the way it looks when it's mixing up. Like, look at all that, yummy. And to give you an idea of something fancy you could do if you just want to eat kimchi, and like make it like, I was going to do this yesterday because I'm trying to cut my carbs and just not eat everything with rice. You can take like a tofu and basically use some of the same ingredients. You can use that gochujang, you can put some tamari in it. Oh, I forgot the coconut aminos in this, so I'm going to add that. Sorry guys, but it's still delicious. You wouldn't, this is what I mean. There is no rule because regardless of what I do, this kimchi is going to be delicious. So other things that you can use if you don't have, I mentioned tamari. Tamari is basically a gluten-free soy sauce, okay? So you can use soy sauce, that's okay. I just like to stick to gluten-free. Or you can use these, this is liquid soy seasoning. You could use coconut aminos. That also has that soy sauce flavor. If you don't have that or you don't want that at all, you can use rice vinegar. So I'm gonna add in 6 tablespoons of this.
A lot of different options. It's great.
Huh? Oh yeah. This is what I specialize in because I'm like, anything can be made vegan and anything can be made to cater to diverse food populations. So it's like, you know, I'm always thinking, and it's just easier for me, generally speaking. So just so you guys know, 6 tablespoons is actually a 1/4 cup. So just to save myself the time and the hassle, I'm just going to pour that in there and there. So that was the 6. I said 4 and then 2 of like coconut amino, but that was because, like I said, I was using the ingredients that I had and I was running out of stuff. But essentially it could just be 6 tablespoons of whatever. Okay, so this is the kimchi. It's ready. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to combine these because now it's all weighted down. I'm going to clean that out. Wash my little hands. Okay. And this is the part that you can add some water here if you need to, but I just like to press everything down. So I'm just going to angle this so you guys can see me pressing. Hello, everybody. I have the broccoli stems for my soup broth. Oh, that's so good. See, she knows. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm pushing this down so that this liquid comes up. Okay, you're gonna see the liquid pop up. You see that? See it coming? Kind of, I don't want it to pour out the side. Okay, so I'm just doing that so that all this kimchi goes to the bottom. And then I'm gonna put like a plate on it and stuff on top of it so it's weighted down. If you have like, you know, you just don't want the food to be exposed to the air. So if you need to add in a little liquid here, you can, but I find that it will eventually sink. Like you saw how much it sank within like a few minutes. I'm gonna just get some more of this out there. So this is a very large, and this is what I'm gonna use to make it nice and heavy.
Oh.
Okay.
For my other kimchi, I just like put this on and then I put like all this weird stuff on it, like bowls with like fruit and stuff in it. And I let it sit out. So I let this sit out for like 2 or 3 days in its best. If you want, you can jar it right away and put it in the fridge. It's just not going to be as fermented and it won't be as spicy. So it's better when it's longer. Like that was. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a few other things just because I always like to give people more than they asked for. And since this is sustainable, it's all about, we need to really focus on sustainability right now because we do have, a lot of food insecurity threats going on right now that people aren't even aware of. So I'm also the co-founder of something called Unity Grow. And our intention with that is basically to help provide resources and a platform for people to start growing their own food and sharing it. And through Kindred Kitchens, I want to create an organic. Glad you guys are here because this is like all in my head right now. I need to get it. I just don't even have time to put it on my website. I want to create an organic club. So I want to do cooking classes, but get children involved. And by organics, we can create compost using the organics because our soil has its own microbiome and it's being destroyed. And so if we can work together to create healthy compost, we can really save the integrity of our food. So I have all these ideas. So I'm glad that we're like aligning on this.
Great minds are here. Yes.
It's so beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to show you one other thing. Yesterday I did a homeschooling cooking class for my friend's son, and he wanted to make dried mangoes. And so I was like, okay, but if we're using the dehydrator, I'm going to be making you something else. So I made him make these crackers with me, and I had a bunch of stuff. These are pumpkin crackers with sweet potato in them. I'm just going to show you guys there. And look at the back. So this is seaweed on the back. These but these are actually like the raw crackers you can get, and they're like actually usually very expensive. I've got a whole bunch more here dehydrating. I'll show you. This is from the Excalibur. So this is what they look like when they're being dehydrated. You can see that they definitely shrivel and shrink. These ones look smaller because I used the roasted seaweed. I ran out of the nori sheets yesterday making all of these, but yeah, it takes forever to do. But even from like what we did with that gochujang, you could potentially turn that into a cracker. So if you have food that's about to go off, you can blend it up. What I mixed with this, it's not just pumpkin, it's like a lot of stuff. And it's like, it was so much food. Like it's been like 2 days of dehydrating, but I bought one of those big Jamaican pumpkins. It has 2 sweet potatoes in it. It has 2 zucchinis. It has like 4 cloves of garlic. I use garlic powder and onion powder too. In addition to that, it also has some onion in it. It has some cilantro. It has about a cup of cashews, a cup of sunflower seeds. So these are also really high in protein. They have sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, black and white, and some flax. And then I added in some like curry and some turmeric and some smoked paprika and a little bit of ginger. And then on top, we just sprinkled nutritional yeast and all this fun stuff.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Adriana loves nutritional
all
yeast.
the news.
Oh my God, I know. I haven't had it in so long. And then last night I was literally like having my midnight snack and I'm dipping kimchi in my nutritional yeast and eating it. I was like, what is going on?
I love that.
Okay.
Okay,
And so this also.
No. 1 second, Angela, because Adriana had that question and I feel that she will forget.
I'm just really, okay, so you blended all of that together and then you put it on top of the nori sheets and then you hydrated it to make crackers?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay.
And it actually binds. Okay, so I put a cup of nutritional yeast in there too. But the flaxseed and the nutritional yeast actually act as binding agents. So you don't necessarily need to have it on the nori, but the nori also acts as I want them all. I'll feed you. The nori also acts as a binding because it like holds it underneath. One thing I'm going to try, I just happen to have rice papers. Before I found the roasted seaweed ones, I was like, what if I tried on a rice paper? What would that be like? This is like literally how I figure stuff out. So I'm going to maybe even try on like one of these Napa cabbage ones, I'll see what works. But this is how you get to become a good cook. You just experiment. And this weird looking orange liquid is actually the juice. So I'm kind of scared to drink it because like the pumpkin weirdly smelled like cantaloupe, and I have this fruit thing, but I'm gonna try a sip. Actually good. It's not like what you would expect because it's got like garlic and cilantro and stuff like that, but I don't like juices, so I could drink this as long as I think I'm drinking soup and not drinking some weird yeah. So let me just see. I think that is our little thing for today.
Amazing.
Crackers. I have a question about the crackers just because I love, they sound so delicious to me. But can you make those in the oven as well? Or do you have to have
You can make them in the oven. Just put on the lowest rack. The only difference is that the oven is going to get like uncontrollably hot because it like defaults to 200. Not that it's going to burn your crackers, but it just won't keep them raw. So the benefits of having it raw is that it's very high vibrational and it has all the living enzymes still. So you can still make them. It just won't be as nutritionally beneficial for you.
Okay.
But
I know
it's still delicious and it is still sustainable. So, I mean, you know, you got to do what you got to do. The Excalibur is a more expensive dehydrator, but I have another one that was huge and I spent $150 on it.
Okay.
So you can get, and it has like, I think 5 to 8 racks. So it's actually, I wish I got one smaller because it's so big, but like I can dehydrate so many things. And just, if you're on that note, you can make those fruit roll-up things. So like if you have bananas that are too bad, if you have bananas that are too bad or like apples or anything like that, you can just blend them in. And when it is fruit, I always like to add, except for bananas, a little psyllium husk.
Oh, okay.
So that like it just makes it pliable and like bendy and stuff like that. So that it's like a fruit roll-up and not like a cracker of fruit. Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji for one of those later today, probably.
I actually got mine at this place on like Bloor and Ossington. It was like one of these places that just has all this kitchen equipment and stuff, and it was $150, so it was super cheap. I thought, but you can get. I'm sure. You know what? I've seen them on Kijiji. People are always trying to get rid of them because they have all these high ambitions, and they're like, oh.
Yes. And then they just end up sitting there, one more appliance to have in their kitchen. Yeah. Okay, I have one more question about the kimchi. So I see it over there. You've got the plates on top. You don't want to let the oxygen get to it. So do you normally cover it with like a dishcloth and an elastic? Like how do you keep it?
You don't really need to, like you can cover it with a dishcloth. I just usually do it, like I don't usually do it in a bowl this big. As long as the kimchi is tucked down. Sorry, I'm just not going to talk back to you. Yeah, you can cover with the thing. I mean, I left mine. The water doesn't seem to be affected. It's more just when the actual food is exposed to air, then it will get moldy or something. And if that does happen, just take off that layer. It's not like affecting the rest of it. It's just that it's been exposed to the air. So it won't be bad. But yeah, you can always add in more water. It's just about having the kimchi weighted down. But if it makes you feel better to cover it because you don't want dust to get in it, then like do that.
Okay, sounds good. And then once you jar it, how long does it stay? Like how long can you keep it for?
Oh, I pretty much forever. Like I've never heard of kimchi going bad. I mean, I'll look up for that, but yeah, when it's preserved, like I'm sure you could have it at least a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, some of the stuff, like there's expiration dates on stuff and it still seems like it's fine, you know, when you see it in stores and whatever. But my kimchi never lasts that long. I like it. So it lasts me like a few days. Like this one's been going on for a while, but I made a lot. So this is the final jar.
Wow. It gets very small also. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see like that it shrinks. Then you just put that on.
Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry now.
Yeah.
Well,
another thing too, sometimes people don't like the taste of kimchi. There's things you can do to that too. It's all in the garnish. Okay, so this is my kimchi cracker. Let's see what I have in here. You guys are gonna love this. This is my drawer, and everything just little jars.
I also think that because the first time I tried kimchi, I also didn't really like it, but it's just getting used to the fermented taste. And really, like the second time I tried, I love it, and now
you're an addict.
Now you're a fan.
I'm a fan now.
Okay, so I don't know where my hemp seeds are right now, but I'll just sprinkle a little love on that. You make it all pretty. Here's some pea shoots. What I do sometimes, like sometimes I've made kimchi and it's like been way too hot, but I'm not gonna throw the kimchi out. So what I do is I use something like creamy to calm it down. So you could use I made like a Caesar out of tahini and garlic and nutritional yeast. And
Tahini.
Yeah, it was really, really delicious. And then it really cut down the spice, but you're still getting everything. And then you just actually add more nutrition. There we go. Look at how pretty that little cracker is. I just put a little pea shoots on it and some kimchi.
Oh my God. Pea shoots, first of all, make everything look beautiful, and they're delicious. And
Yeah.
work all around, but they make everything so fancy.
Yeah, that's the power of greens though. These are also something like I want to get people into growing microgreens through the Unity Grow, because like these when anything's sprouted, it like doubles the nutrition. So sprouting your own food, like I teach people how to sprout. It's like mung greens you can sprout in 2 days. They're so good for you.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's another sustainable thing you guys should like be talking about, or maybe we can look at sprouting thing together. But microgreens are just an extension of the sprouts, but they're so beautiful. And so it's like what's so cool about sprouts is that it has all of the nutrition of a plant enhanced, and it's in this tiny little nutrient dense thing that has like no calories and like no actual substance. So you can eat a lot of it and really fill yourself up. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm talking like 100 miles per hour, eating all the greens. It looks so beautiful. And then you can just sprinkle on some hemp seed and you have yourself a nice little raw vegan superfood lunch.
I love it. Oh my God. Okay. I have another question. I'm full of questions today, but I know you mentioned this service that you have, the zero waste food service. Can you share a little
bit? Not mine. I'm the chef for it, but it's called Crisper. And it kind of, I'm not really too familiar with all the different food delivery companies because I make my own food most of the time, but it's kind of a cross between what's the one? The one where you make your own food. I guess that's Good Food, but Mama Earth Organics, because it's going to come in like a tote thing with your whole food. So you're going to be getting stuff like this for your recipe, but it's going to have recipe cards, and then it's each kit is for 2 people. So it's a good way for like you meal portioning and stuff like that. I'm going to include a few videos in it too, but I just write up the instructions, and it's all vegan, tastes great, zero waste, plant-based, everything rhymes. I love it. Yeah. And so I've submitted my recipes and I'm not sure, it's supposed to be opening in September, but it's going to be Toronto's first zero waste meal kit. So I'm really glad that I got to be a part of that because it's totally aligned with everything that I'm doing. And then I'm also working on something called the Restaurant Evolution, which also has sustainable initiatives. And Erica, I want to actually put you in touch with the people from Oceanic Global, but I'm going to be one of the TOS consultants reaching out to people who are restaurants who are coming out of quarantine before we go back in, and just being sustainable in this, because everything's shifting towards disposable and plastics and stuff. And it's just, we can't take 5 steps back just because of this, right? And so I'm going to be a consultant, the first in Canada, on their behalf. And then I'm also getting certified, vegan certified. So I'm going to go to restaurants and offer mini optimized versions of their menus that's 100% plant-based, but also immune boosting. So foods like this that aren't crazy, not like something that they wouldn't have on their menu, but just giving people a lighter option to the regular things, but also showing the difference in calories. So maybe this one's got like 1/3 of the calories, but it also has all these things that's going to help you fight sickness. And just doing stuff and catering to all these diverse food populations, because a lot of people might not go to that Italian restaurant because they have a family that's celiac, or someone in their family, so you're not just missing out on that one customer, you're missing out on like the potential entire family. So by not leveling up and like catching up like all these big giants are, like Burger King and Starbucks, they're all jumping on this plant-based bacon, but they're not vegan, and a lot of the staff don't even know it. So it's like there's just all these little gaps, and so that's what I'm working on with the Restaurant Evolution. So I'm consulting on the sustainability factor, training on the vegan factor, and then just putting immunity on the menu through healthy.
I love it, and it's so important right now with coronavirus to keep our immune system stronger.
Well, okay, so like disease can't thrive in a healthy body. And so we have the power to create immunity in our body by feeding our gut flora the good stuff that's going to make us healthy. Like I'm honest to God, I'm not worried about getting sick. even if I got coronavirus, I wouldn't be, I mean, I might get sick. I might have even already had it. I was really sick back in January, but I always get better. And the thing is, it's like the death rate for it isn't actually that high anyways. So if you just get your vitamins in and you have a healthy body, you really don't need to be worrying about catching a virus or a cold or whatever, because you can catch it. You can have a cold and not be symptomatic. Like your body will fight it off. It's natural. This is just how our bodies are. Like we thrive by being exposed to bacteria and stuff like that. But it's by being healthy is creating that environment in which it can't thrive. So this is our best defense. Natural immunity through food. Woohoo.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, we would like to meet you a little bit more in a deeper way. So we'll up with some questions for our speaker. And the first one is, what do you prefer, coffee or tea?
Coffee. I know I should drink tea. I should drink tea, but this is my coffee. Look, I even have my little cheers. But I do drink coffee, but I balance it with detox water. So I do in the morning before I do the coffee, I do a hot water with lemon and ginger, and then I have a coffee, and then I go run 5K, and then I have another detox water when I get back. So, yeah.
Why do you need the detox water?
I just like to do it, because I'm doing this cleanse, but it's a really good way for your body to detoxify first thing in the morning. So I have a little routine. I don't go straight on social media, or at least I try not to. And I do a meditation. I get a little bit of exercise. I eat chocolate because chocolate is also supposed to be really good for the brain. So says Jim Quick, and I'm like, I'm down. This also just detoxifies your gut. Right. So it cleanses it out. And remember, like, it's not just your head brain. Like we have a gut brain, and this one is actually potentially more powerful than this one. So you want to nourish it before you do that. And that's why I do it. And like, I don't toxify. Yes, Danielle, I don't toxify myself with coffee right away. You know, I try and like clean it out, and sometimes I run and then I do the coffee, which I should be doing more of, but nobody's perfect. So yeah, that's that.
That's amazing. So what do you prefer, beach or mountains?
Ooh, well, I'm living on the beach out in Mansfield right now, but it's not a tropical beach, unfortunately. I actually think I prefer the mountains.
Oh,
I love the beach. I love sitting on the beach. I'm not like a super like hot. I like hot weather. I don't like sitting in the direct sunlight. It's really hard. I like both. If I lived in Costa Rica because it was like beach. In Manuel Antonio, it was beach, jungle, and mountains. So it was like kind of everything.
that sounds amazing.
It really was. Yeah, that was hard. I like them both, but I don't know. I feel like I need more.
Nature is always hard.
Yeah, nature. Yes. So.
Oh my gosh, Adriana, do you have something to ask?
Oh, like to do like the lightning round, like a quick lightning round?
Ooh.
Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Oh, I guess NSYNC.
Like a super random fun one that, you know, from back in the 90s, you know.
Yeah.
I have a last one.
Okay.
If you can make a change in the food industry in Toronto.
Oh, there's so many. Well, what I'm trying to do with the restaurant evolution is one. But I definitely think like, oh my God, there's so many things. I think for our own survival, we need to really start thinking about growing our own food, because we are not aware of what's going on with the farmers. We're not aware, like if you haven't been going to the stores, there is less and less available of the brands that we know. And this is not coincidence. It's not because it's because these people are going out of business or they're running out of supplies. It is so important for like the fundamental of our own, like our foundation of our own survival, is that we start taking food into our hands, because it is like this life force, you know, it's a basic need. People are so worried about money and all that stuff, but when it comes down to it, we need food. So that's why
I think it's also like very mindful and philosophical thing, because I never tried to grow food before. And this summer, through bonds, I got 2 little tomatoes that I have been taking care of every single day. and I love them so much.
They're
Oh my gosh,
They're
yes.
so cute.
And they take so long, and the
Yeah.
energy that they, like farmers, are putting into growing our food, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think if we all have the opportunity and the chance to see how the process is, we will appreciate much more our food.
Exactly. People are
Our
so,
farmers.
and that's another, that's, I'm glad you said that, because it is a very spiritual thing, is like having that connection with your food. Like you're watching this thing grow and you're nourishing it, and then it nourishes you. I think that is so beautiful, but also just having that like appreciation. Like, you know, we get a tomato from the store and it comes in a package. Like it shouldn't come in a package. It has its own little container. It's called a skin. And I just think that people really need to be more mindful of that too, like the packaging. Like this, I've always been very aware. I was raised from people from like another generation who survived the war, and so it's like it was ingrained into me. But and I'm aware, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I waste so much. And I'm like, what about the people who don't even try to save stuff because it's just been ingrained into them? And that's a huge problem. So we need to shift out of this mindset and like this lifestyle of disposability, because it's destroying the planet, and everything ends up in the ocean. You throw it in the garbage, it doesn't matter. It ends up in the ocean.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when we see and we're growing something personally, we're less likely to waste it. Like you see the time and the effort it takes to grow.
That's
that.
what I mean. I'm like, gotta save the juice.
Every part of that tomato, right? Versus like you said, buying it at the grocery store in a container, and if it sits there and goes bad, you're like, oh, I'll buy another one. Because you don't have to grow it. Like you're not part of that process. And there's
you have such an appreciation. And that's another thing through this Unity Grow too. It's like, you know, some people have the capacity to grow and others don't. I had a whole herb garden growing in my apartment in Toronto, so it's possible to grow stuff. I grew a tomato even in Toronto in an apartment. Like it's on the penthouse though, and I have a lot of lights, so that works. But it's nice even just to have your own herbs, because you can always add those beautiful little touches like this, and it's not costing you anything. So it's actually saving you money too. You spend $2 to up to $5 on an herb, and you have it all summer, and it just replenishes itself. Like that's sustainable. But I mean, if we could get people, like there's a few community gardens, we need more of this. There's seed libraries. We need to get all these different entities together and start promoting some sort of like community effort, because if we run out of food, like what are we going to do, guys? We're destroying our soil. Like we need to start acting now so we have food for tomorrow. Feed the future.
I love it. I love the idea. Oh, I was just sitting
Let's
do Let's do it. Keep us on the loop and tell us how we can support you, and we will love to support it.
Okay, well, I am on Kindred Kitchens, Kindred_Kitchens on Instagram. I also have a Facebook group called Kindred Kitchens. On it, you can find the link to CRISPR kits. It's not live or selling yet. But yeah, what I'm looking for, if you guys want to subscribe, that's really the best thing, because I can keep you up to date about the things coming up with the Unity Grow. And I'm also teaching classes if anybody's interested in learning some of this stuff. Another thing that I have decided, I offer cooking classes for adults, but I'm going to do a kids program, because a lot of people are homeschooling now, and like we need to start empowering the children, because really they're the ones that are going to be the game changer.
They're our hope. Yes.
They're our only hope. So that's what I'm going to be doing too. So if you know anybody who's interested in that or whatever, yeah, that's cool. Also, if you guys know restaurants that aren't necessarily healthy or don't have a lot of plant-based stuff or don't cater to any sort of allergen, recommend them to me. And then, you know, if I go and do that, I will
help them out.
Taken care of if they become a client. So that's cool.
Yay! Well, this was WE-Solation with Angela Argentina this month. We are so grateful to have you here, Angela. And just a little reminder of why we started WE-Solation back in, oh my gosh, April? Already March? And it was just a very kind action of gathering the community together through this hard time of coronavirus. And then to isolate together, so to don't let anyone out. And then after we started to remember that actually being a zero waster, it's quite isolating already. So we decided to keep the space for everyone to come together and to share their skills to have a more sustainable life in an easy way, in a tasty way. And so Plastic Free Toronto, your eco-friend, and Adriana and I that we are in with, we are WE-Solation. We are the WE-Solation team, and we hope you all enjoy this episode and the rest of the episodes. If you go to our YouTube channel, you will find much more skills that other people have shared. And voila, let us know what do you want to see next in our episodes. We love you.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Angela. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Angela.
I wish you were here to eat my kimchi.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna share mine. Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, you guys have a beautiful day. Stay sustainable. Namaste.
Thanks, Angela. Bye. Bye.